Hi everyone, and welcome to my honors philosophy final video, where I am going to talk to you about why I decided to study film at DePaul and how I think it connects to Plato's idea of beauty and how I disagree with Sartre's idea that I think kind of contradicts or goes against Plato's ideas of beauty. So let's get into it. First off, starting with Plato, in his Symposium, what he writes about is Diotima's ascent to beauty, where basically Diotima explains that beauty comes in steps, where you first have to understand one object, see the beauty in one object, and then in the institution, and then in the whole world. And so as you work your way up in the understanding of beauty in things, you will finally reach the vast sea of beauty. And that's where you kind of understand the beauty in all things at God's level, and you can see how beauty flows through and connects all things, from humanity to God's creation to maybe things that don't seem so beautiful to the eye. So Plato believes that beauty is absolute and it can help you to understand heaven. So ultimately, the goal is to be at God's level of understanding beauty, which is pretty hard, but Diotima says if you work your way up in the steps, you could finally reach it. And I think all of this kind of like ropes in Plato's idea of the logos, which we learned a lot about, but is basically like the unchanging essence that things have that make them identifiable, like even when their physical form varies. So you can picture something in your mind, know it's that, and so when you see it in person, you can identify it as the object you saw in your mind's eye. And I think that beauty can be connected to that because it can be found in the logos of things, because according to Plato, all things have beauty in them. So that beauty is unchanging and is part of their essence, that even when the physical form changes, or maybe you don't see it, it's like the beauty is still there and it like connects all things, because all things have a logos and they're all connected and able to be known through their logos. So a philosopher that I think disagrees with this is Sartre. He is influenced by Husserl and Marx, and his phenomenology is based off a shared human experience, where he basically comes to the conclusion that life is absurd and that it has no meaning, and so basically you can do anything you want because nothing really matters. I think this point that Sartre makes goes against Plato's understanding of beauty, because if life is absurd, and absurd is like basically like pointless, illogical, then something that's absurd I don't think can be beautiful at the same time. So Plato believes that life is beautiful, and Sartre believes that life is absurd. So why would you spend your life trying to reach the vast sea of beauty if really none of it mattered? And I think that's something that I don't agree with about Sartre. And the other thing that he says that contradicts Plato's philosophy is that the idea of the logos. Sartre said that things could not be truly known in their essence, and just like Occam, who was all about nominalism and all of that stuff, Sartre believed that the world was just like happenstance, and like it just no order and basically no beauty, because as we know, God created the world to have an order and to be beautiful, and he thought it was good. And so with Sartre's idea of the world with no like order and beauty, it all just kind of falls apart. Basically, with no order to the world, based on what Sartre says, there can be no beauty found in all things and no way to reach God's understanding of the ordered world. Another thing that Sartre mentions is that people exist with total freedom to define themselves and their life and everything around them. And while I think that there is some truth to that people should be able to express themselves how they want, he completely ignores the fact that people are made in the image and likeness of God and are made for a specific purpose in life. Sartre thinks that the main meaning of life is to do whatever it takes to not kill yourself. So, not to, get a job or be successful or find true happiness, just survive. So, if life really is absurd and your friend next to you or the tree over there and the whole meaning of your life basically mean nothing, then none of it's beautiful and none of it can be truly known. And that's what I disagree with about Sartre's philosophy and why I agree with Plato. I personally am able to see beauty in a lot of things, at least I try to, because it keeps things positive. But in my friends, of course, and nature, even cities, even the stuffed animal right here, just even things that don't appear beautiful, like maybe, I don't know, a rainy day at an ugly looking factory, there is beauty behind all things, and it might come from their purpose or maybe their story or their meaning. And that is what I want to share with the world. And the way I'm going to do that is through movie making. And this brings me to my career choice. So basically, I have decided that I want to become a director or a producer. At least that's the path that I'm on right now. This is because I want to make movies that move people and show them the beauty that I see in the world. Since I've been little, I've just loved putting on movies, directing my friends and my cousins around. I even bought an iPad to film movies on. And I just love coming up with a story and being able to tell it from my point of view. Even in high school, I continued to make movies for broadcasting class and for fun. I just love being able to piece together a good story, and there's just something so thrilling about making movies that never gets old. And maybe I didn't realize it before this assignment, but I think it's because of my love for showing the beauty I see in the world on screen through something that I can make. And I think that this leads me on the path to the beautiful because I can tell stories of people, memories, God's creation, and show all the beauty in humanity and in the world to the people who watch my films in the future. I want to make movies that show beauty through good, bad, and just the complexity of life in general. And I have a lot of movies that inspire me, and most of them have a theological concept, maybe if they don't even realize it, underlying the whole plot that can bring viewers to just have sort of a different worldview at the end. Or in other words, the movie finishes and you're just left wow, that was so good. Oh my gosh, I'm crying because, no, I'm not crying. But basically, a bunch of movies that inspire me are Good Will Hunting, Jean de Florette, and Manon de la Source, which is niche, you probably have never watched it. Dead Poets Society, the Barbie movie, The Matrix, Sixth Sense, No Country for Old Men, Spirited Away, Whiplash, and a movie by Steven Spielberg that I don't think anyone's really watched called AI. So good. But that is just what I love about movie making, is that these movies, even if they have a tough plot or they're grappling with something difficult, they show beauty in the relationships between people, friendships, the way the problem is solved, or maybe if there's no good ending, just the beauty can be in yourself, realizing how maybe to not make the same mistake that the people did in the movie, if that makes sense. So the class that I connected this all with is, of course, Society and Film that I took as a junior with Mr. Thalen. And basically we just watched a bunch of movies and analyzed films a lot of the ones that I just mentioned previously. And even though when some of them were boring, I was still able to see the beauty in them. Like, there was one movie, I forgot the name of it, of course, but it was a Western, and they were going on some adventure, and I was still able to find beauty in, like, the characters themselves and the way that they supported and helped each other, even if I was falling asleep a little bit. But basically, I think every movie can tell a story of beauty through friendship, love, loss. And eventually, when I make my own movies and hopefully show these thoughts that I have to the world, I can piece together my vast sea of beauty and hopefully help others also reach that understanding through the emotion that they can feel when they watch my films. So that is all. Thank you so much for listening to my video, and I hope you can understand now how I hope to use film in my future career to show the world Plato's idea of beauty and help myself also reach that vast sea of beauty eventually through my creative work.